It's been a while. I guess I'm just going to start rolling here because while I have a basic outline about what I want to talk about here and some important topics that have come to light over the previous few months, determining the channel's direction for the future, but also just kind of YouTube in general. I don't have a script necessarily for this video. I'm kind of shooting from the hip here. And I'm going to try to stay on track and not make this a rambling 20-minute piece. But I think there are some really important points here that I want to communicate to you, my audience, and also any aspiring content creators out there, either in the tech space or elsewhere, that are going to be really, really relevant and imperative to maintain and reflect on moving forward. Now, it has been a couple of weeks since I released a tech video, and I don't think this qualifies as a tech video. So again, sorry for the lack of actual content that you may have subscribed for, but maybe this kind of video will reach a wider audience because it has applications outside of just the tech space. And while this is a tech channel and will continue to be a tech channel, I don't necessarily only need to talk to tech people. So if you're here and you're not a subscriber or you're not familiar with me, welcome. I hope you get something out of this video. I do apologize for being away a little bit, but to be honest, vacation was pretty sorely needed. My wife and I and her family went away to the beach for a week. And as I do a lot of my filming and editing on the weekends, that means that last week I didn't have really any time to put together any content, and this week I'm just getting back now and it's Sunday, so unfortunately I don't have time to do tests or builds or whatever you might normally see out of a PC related channel. So that's why you're getting this instead. But again, there were some things that I just wanted to talk about anyway, so this kind of provides me a really good way to do that. I started this channel back in 2015, and while 6 years ago might not seem like that long, in terms of the internet and YouTube and how fast things move here, that is basically an eternity, and things were way different back in my day. But the channel was started as a way to help me promote my very small custom PC building business, and over the years, clearly it has morphed into becoming the business itself, and I no longer do custom PC builds except in very rare instances because I just don't have the time. The channel takes up basically all of my available mental and actual free time. I did a giveaway during the holiday season in 2018, partnering with Paul's Hardware and Kyle from Bitwit, and that created a huge explosion in growth for my channel. And we're not going to dive too much into that or the repercussions of that in this video, but suffice it to say, the growth from that giveaway basically landed me where the channel is right now, subscriber-wise, and I've kind of been hovering around that number ever since. So since probably the beginning of 2019 through now 2021, the channel has had about the same number of subscribers, give or take. Even though 2020 was a rough year for a lot of people, myself included, channel viewership was still pretty strong. It was still growing, and I was happy with the amount of engagement I was getting from my audience, the feedback, the comments, the likes and dislikes, and even people tweeting at me with new video ideas or comments on the previous video or anything along those lines. Things were going pretty well. In 2021, things changed. Average viewership has basically just fallen off a cliff. I used to average 20 to 30,000 views on any given video, some less certainly, but again, some more. So if you average out my previous year's worth of videos, you get somewhere in the 20 to 30,000 views per video range. And if you average out my 2021 videos, you get somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 views per video. This was a pretty steep drop off, and it was very noticeable for me when looking at my analytics and also seeing lessened engagement from my audience, less interest from everybody, and also a lot more hostility. Now, this is certainly not unique to me. The tech space in general has kind of been inundated with a lot of negative energy over the past few months stemming mostly from the lack of components and GPUs in particular. But a lot of larger channels seem to be able to stave this off by kind of diversifying their content, posting more videos if they have the ability to do that, and generally getting by. Even though things are not going great, they're still fine. YouTube revenue, AdSense revenue, along with Amazon affiliate revenue, integrated sponsorships, makes it so that you can weather a storm to some degree. Now, it's been difficult for my channel because I'm not yet at the point where I am anything except a one-man show, and doing everything on my own while also having a full-time other job means that I have limited resources to be able to dedicate to this. I can't pump up the video volume. I just don't have the available time or energy to do that. I can't necessarily diversify or make as quick of a pivot as other people who can say, you know, they have a team who could work on other concepts or other videos and whatnot. It's hard for me to make those kinds of moves. Now, I'm doing my best, but you know, recently I posted on Twitter about how things have been going here, and basically not well. You know, not to get too specific, I don't want to give you actual numbers, but revenue is down about a third or a quarter of what it was last year, same time last year. Viewership is about 1/10 of what it was same time last year. And this includes, you know, more deep dive metrics like video impressions, how many times YouTube is showing my videos to people, click-through rate, which is how often people will click on a thumbnail when they see my face in it, or, you know, whatever the case may be. That is down. You know, overall watch time is down. As somebody who has been working on this kind of space for, you know, 6 years now, seeing something that was going pretty well and pretty steadily growing all of a sudden come to a screeching halt and basically just fall off a cliff is very disheartening. The reality of running a YouTube channel, or really any business, is that you have to see a return on your time and money investment in order to continue to make it reasonable for you to maintain that business. And when it comes to a YouTube channel, I have significant expenses. Not only my time, which basically this channel encompasses almost all of my free time, but things like cameras and lighting and PC parts and studio equipment. It all really adds up. And, you know, because I am not the biggest tech channel, I do have to rely on myself to buy some parts that aren't sampled to me. And I have to weigh that with how much income I'm getting from the channel. And with income basically a third or a quarter of what it was, my available resources go way down. And does it make sense for me to continue doing the same thing that I've been doing? And the answer is no, it does not. Now, I posted on Twitter about this, and it was a pretty lengthy thread, and I'm not going to subject you to the whole thing. But basically, I was kind of showing people like where my thought process was coming from and some of the analytics on the channel and how, you know, they've been trending down. And I got a really nice bunch of responses from people, including a lot of larger tech channels who, you know, my friends who run those channels. But I do want to give a special thank you to one guy who, you know, we've known each other for a long time, and we talk often. But, you know, he called me, and this was Greg Salazar from Salazar Studios, or from Greg Salazar, or from Science Studios. This guy right over here. So he called me. We spent over an hour on the phone together, and, you know, it's not like we haven't talked on the phone before, but this was kind of a different tone. You know, he kind of opened my eyes to a lot, and the way he has run his channel and maybe the way I'm running my channel is not really conducive to the current YouTube environment, which is that you have to change. Now, yes, for a long time, one thing can work, but if things start to not work, you can't just expect all of a sudden them to snap back to the same thing that they were. You have to flex and bend and change with the current environment and climate. Otherwise, your channel will just die. And for a number of reasons, I've been hesitant to make that pivot or change or switch because what I had been doing was working for me for so long. And I was happy with it, and I am good at it. And making that kind of content has become a rhythm for me. And I'm not going to say it's easy to do, because it's not, but it's become easier over the years. So Greg and I talked a lot about this, and he made me realize that, he has made a purposeful pivot within the tech space and still is able to maintain his audience and grow his audience and get significant views on his videos, because he is now, Greg, for instance, is doing a lot of the PC deep cleaning stuff, which is still a PC adjacent. It still maintains and attracts the same kind of audience, but isn't necessarily the same thing as everybody else is doing. And I've realized that, this channel means too much to me to just give it up. I don't want to do that. And it was hard for me to type that out on Twitter that I was going to do that. So that's not the intention here. I'm going to do everything I can to not just give up on this. And I have a lot of really interesting ideas as far as what I could do, how I could make a small turn to the left or right and give you guys some really interesting content, and also try to reach out to a wider audience. Where this leads me, though, is that I've been thinking about why I've had to do this, whereas I did not have to do that for the first 5.5 years of this channel's existence. I think the reason for that is YouTube is now so saturated with tech content, and this applies to any space. YouTube is saturated with content from everything. So if you're a daily vlogger, there's no shortage of daily vloggers out there that you have to compete with. But I'm in the tech space, so I'm going to talk about tech. It's no longer that everybody can share all the views. There is actually now a finite number of views that people can provide to YouTubers in the tech space, let's say, and they have to be divided up amongst the people who are out there. I used to tell people that YouTube is not a zero-sum game. Somebody can go watch a Paul's Hardware video on a graphics card review and then come and watch my video on that same graphics card. I'm going to have a different perspective from Paul. I'm going to have different testing data from Paul, different B-roll from Paul. I'm going to have different approach to my review, maybe even a different way to do a review video. I don't know. But it's going to be a different video from Paul's video. But the subject of that video is going to be the same. And it used to be that people would be happy to go and watch almost all of those videos that came out when a new product was released. And we're reaching the point now where we are so saturated with the same kinds of content that the viewership fatigue is coming into play much faster than it used to. So now somebody shopping for a particular component can only watch so many videos, and likely they're going to watch ones from the larger creators first before they get down to me. And even though the channel is 120x thousand subscribers, in terms of comparing against Linus, it's small. And I don't really have a fighting chance of competing with him when it comes to a review video or even a similar build video or something along those lines, even if my video itself is superior, which I'm not saying it is, but even if it were to be superior, that almost doesn't matter. People are going to go to the bigger creators first, and then later on, if they still have the time and energy, they might get to mine. But the people at every stop along that way fall off. So if you have 100 people watch Linus's video, and then 90 people watch Gamers Nexus video, and then 80 people watch Kyle's video, and 70 people watch Paul's video, all the way down. By the time they get to BPS Customs video, there might be 5 people left that want to watch that video. And unfortunately, that is not really sustainable, because YouTube didn't used to be that way. And you have to be able now to stand out in this new environment, or else you will wither and die. You need to make your content different from what other people are offering and appealing to a larger, wider audience to draw in new people who see you first, because you are the only one doing this thing. And they might see that, and they might like that, and they might subscribe to you because of that, and then start coming back for your other content. So while in the past it used to be true that everybody could share all the views and it was very kumbaya, I don't believe that that is the case anymore. And you have to tailor your content with that in mind, or else your channel will not succeed. This is upsetting to me for a couple of reasons, but specifically because it means that it's really, really hard for new channels to actually make it, because without a niche or anything special, getting that hook is going to be really, really tough. And I know how hard I worked to get a foothold on this platform, and I can only imagine what it's like now if I were to launch a channel in 2021. In the interest of not just doing the same thing over and over, build videos in this case, I guess for our channel, my channel, I'm going to change. And the way I'm going to change is I have a couple of new series of videos that I'd like to do starting probably next week, that are going to hopefully appeal to a wider audience. And I'll spoil the first video series that I want to work on for you guys. And it might be a little bit rudimentary for some of you, but I want to do a gaming PC basics series. So say the first video is going to be talking about what the components are, and then subsequent videos will be deep diving into each component, what makes it special, why you might want it, who the target audience is for it, how to pick one. So we're going to do everything from like cases to coolers to, silicon, CPU and graphics cards and motherboards too. So there's going to be a lot of content that you guys may or may not be interested in. And if you're not, I'm sorry. I hope you watch anyway. But the point of this is to kind of diversify. So you're not going to see every week on my channel a build video that apparently nobody wants to watch anymore, because if I keep doing those, I'm going to go crazy. It's very difficult to see a video that you work a lot of hours on, publish, and then get no views and die immediately. The initial launch cycle of a video's life, the first 4 hours, are probably the only key that matters. If the video is outperforming your other videos, it will then get picked up by YouTube and shown to more people, and more people will click on it, and the cycle repeats, and that video kind of takes off. If that video is underperforming in those first 4 hours, YouTube doesn't want anything to do with it, and it just dies. So I'm hoping that people are interested in this content enough to click on it and watch it. I'm going to try I have a couple of different ideas along those lines, and I'm going to try a couple of different things. I'm going to continue to do shorts for my RC content, and I'm going to keep those separate from my regular videos, because I still really love RC cars and I want to make content on them, but I don't think I want to make them full-length videos, because I don't want them interfering with our, regular PC related stuff. If you don't like those videos, they're just shorts, just ignore them. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I hope that, this kind of new direction for the channel is going to help, going to bring in new viewership and boost engagement. And we will see. Like I said, I can't continue to make the same video over and over for no views, and then, revenue is down as a result, and then it becomes very difficult to maintain this channel. Regardless of, how big it might be, it still takes money to keep running, and without that, it becomes kind of pointless for me to sit here and talk to this camera. This all comes back to you guys. I love making videos. I love interacting with you guys. I love having an active and engaged community. And I've had that now for the past 6 years. I want to continue that, and I want to continue to help and educate people. I really hope that this kind of video series or next few video series that I'm going to be working on succeeds. I'm going to be interspersing some other content in there. I have a webcam comparison video that I really want to do. I have some really interesting new webcams in the office that I want to show you guys. But, you know, just doing a build video all the time is just not going to work anymore. So I want to try to maintain this community and this viewership while also branching out into other things. And I hope you guys stick with me because it's been great. It's been a great 6 years. I don't want to give up the channel. I just, you know, hope that things change a little bit and maybe start trending in the right direction, and then we'll see where it goes. So, you know, thanks for watching, I guess.